Forex using a patented rules-based strategy taught only at Online Trading Academy. How to find the right investments, how to time the market, how to protect money from risk. For over 20 years, thousands have learned how to invest from home at Online Trading Academy. Come in and see what this school's all about at a free half-day class. They're all over Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Stewart, and Port St. Lucie. Seating is limited, so call Online Trading Academy now to win a pair of tickets. 954-668-2510. 954-668-2510. 954-668-2510.
This is Talk 1470. WNN.
The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff, management, ownership of the station. Jay and Janine are expressing their own opinions, and such is not a substitute for psychological or mental health advice. If you are experiencing an emergency, please hang up and call 911.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show, where we're talking everything personal development, coaching, health, and the law. I'm your host, Jay, here with co-host Janine.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Please join us on Facebook, where we can be found at the Momentum Mindset Show. And if you want to call in and be part of the show, we would love to hear from you. It's 888-565-1470. And if being on live radio is not your thing, no problem. Send us your comments and we will interact with you on Facebook.
Let's create some momentum. And welcome everybody to the Momentum Mindset Show. I'm your host, Jay Farrow, here with co-host
Janine Davis.
And welcome to our first show. Very excited to be here.
So excited to be here.
Awesome.
Amazing.
And we're talking everything personal development, health, the law. We're talking about creating the life that you want, starting with the life that you have.
Absolutely.
Actually, just talking about creating momentum in your life to chase your dreams.
Exactly. And that dream can be had at any point in your life. It doesn't matter if you are 16, 20, 48, 65, and 92. It's never too late.
It's never too late, and it's been quite a road to get here. I mean, we're sitting here, it's 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and you and I are sitting next to each other, speaking to the planet about health. About dreams, about our lives and what we've created in our lives in a very short amount of time.
Yes. So it is about dream chasing. It is about living and stepping into a life that is riddled with possibilities. And it's whatever you decide, who you are, what you want, how you show up, any given day, any given time.
And it was not an easy road to get here.
No, Jay, please tell us how we got here.
Since this is our first show, and I'm sure that our listeners are asking themselves, why are we listening to the Momentum Mindset Show, and who are these two individuals that are speaking to us, and what are we going to be really talking about? And I'm going to start like I always do, being vulnerable and authentic with the world, and hopefully I'm sharing this live on Facebook, because I'm not really used to, like maybe 10 months ago, I started getting used to this Facebook thing. But my story starts a couple of years ago. My story starts a couple of years ago, where I found myself in a hospital bed after being in a coma for about 5 days. And we might as well just start off saying that I had spent quite a bit of time abusing my body for many, many years. And this abuse was based upon I call it untreated unworthiness. I mean, there's 1,000 different reasons why I found myself in the situation that I was in. But really, when it came down to it, I was addicted to disconnection, because I had a very difficult time being Jay Farrow. I had a difficult time accepting things in my life. And I found myself in a coma after this years of abuse. And some parts of this, and the audience is not going to quite understand why I might start laughing at some of this, but we just finished speaking about my story to an entrepreneur in our office today, a very, very successful entrepreneur who we've represented and
A dear friend.
and also a dear friend. And I've shared with him for the very first time that this was not the first time I was in a coma. Over the course of 8 years, I'd actually been there for 9 times.
And this individual was really stunned. He's like, wait, the first few comas weren't enough for you? Like, what goes on, really? And Jay really had to be with that in a second, because it's not something that really actually makes sense, right? So abusing yourself is not something that makes sense to anybody on the outside. But when we are in pain, when this is all that we know, it becomes our emotional home. It becomes comfort. And this is something that we get to all identify with. You know, Jay's case is very sort of, in many cases, in a way, it's very sort of dramatic, but he's not the only one who is suffering from untreated unworthiness.
And I like the word suffering, because that's exactly what it turned out to be. I have a bunch of slogans about it. I mean, pain is inevitable in life. We all go through pain, and suffering is optional. And in November of 2016, as I woke up in this hospital bed, and I didn't know where I was. I mean, this is actually after about being in a coma for about 5 days, and the doctor walked in, and it's a doctor I'd actually seen before, and the doctor said, look, there's nothing we can do for you. You know, you basically have done everything to your body that we told you was going to happen, and you have 3 to 6 months to live. That was the prognosis. And I remember I wasn't very happy about listening to that, but I was thinking to myself that this is not the way that this is going to end for me. That I was going to, number one, be a contribution somehow, some way on this planet, and number two, follow every direction that these doctors were going to give me to become a healthy human being. At the time, though, I didn't know what that was going to take. I didn't really have.
Right.
The only hope I had was the belief in myself.
Right. No one gives us a handbook on how to do life, right? We're all just doing our best, trying to figure it out. And some of us stumble and have a really scary road to get to where we need to be. But the point is that you can get there. And this is really, a lot of people had really given up on Jay. I think Jay had given up on Jay. And there were a couple of us in his corner that were like, no, don't believe it. Don't know, when the doctors told me that I needed to manage my expectations, my inner rebellious child was like, manage yourself, people, because this cat's not going down like this. And so that's, it's a lot about energy, and it's a lot about what you believe in, personal belief, and a lot of prayer. And
I hope that we're connected on this Facebook machine.
I know. Still learning.
So when I walked out of the hospital and basically ran into a friend of mine who was also a lawyer, and he said he started showing up in a different way. Yeah. And I didn't know what this man was doing, but there was something different about him, and he seemed to be going after life himself in a way that I've never seen before. And he suggested that I try out something called transformation, and I had no idea what that was about. Mm-hmm. And a few months after I had gotten out of the hospital, I walked into this transformational program, and this transformational trainer started talking to me about being accountable for my life. He started talking to me about being my word no matter where I went, committing to my goals and going after them. And that what he told me was that all events in life are neutral, and I charge them. So essentially, that these are my stories, and my stories are the ones that were keeping me sick. But my stories and interpretations could also be the key to unlock a limitless future. And it wasn't but like 4 or 5 hours I was in this training program that although I had just been out of the hospital for 3 months, I was listening to doctors telling me that everything was pretty much touch and go with me. Yeah. But this man was telling me that I can create a future for myself that I've never even thought possible before. Whereas like before 4 hours before I had walked into this training program, I didn't know what to expect from my life. This first part of the training program was about 4 days long, and then there was a part 2. And then there was a part 3. And within this short period of time, I designed a plan for my life. I created a business plan for like 7 different areas of my life. And I started to believe that it was possible for me to not just exist or survive what I had gone through, but thrive in this world. I mean, that concept of thriving, that's what we're
Right.
talking about here. Because we're not just talking about living. I mean, because my story, people hear it and like, oh my God, I feel bad for you. And I said, no, don't, because I don't regret a second of it. Because if it wasn't for all of that, I wouldn't be here today going after my life the way that I'm going after my life.
Right.
Believing
And so
that.
these things really provide a lot of perspective, and the truth of the matter is that we all have our learning curve. And when Jay went into this transformational program, I followed in quick succession because I saw the tremendous results. And anyway, I have a psychology background. I'm super interested in people, sociology. I'm a life coach. All of these things with personal development and transformation are really so much up my alley. But it really does change your perspective about what is possible in life. And even for me, I did not have the same background as Jay, not at all. But it doesn't matter, because what I realized in my journey is that I had fallen asleep in my own life. I was not showing up for myself. I was not showing up in the way that I was completely disconnected as well. So, we all have a path to get to Rome, and I didn't know that I wasn't showing up. I actually thought that I was, until I realized that no, I have not committed to certain things for myself. I've been hiding from certain things. I've been hiding from my talents. I've been hiding from my dreams. I've been hiding from a lot of things. And so, it was a powerful thing that we could come together, even coming from such different backgrounds, and really support each other on this path in transformation.
And the way that I'm looking at it now is it really wasn't so different. Because mine looked like a hospital bed and a coma, but that's what my not going after my dreams looked like in my life.
Exactly.
That was loud. I'm a loud person,
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I know. I go to extremes. So that was me showing up. This is what it looked like for me. But as you're speaking, I'm connecting to like the way what it looked like for you was different. But we're in our box.
Exactly.
And that box could look like a hospital room. It could look like your office, even if you have a corner office. And I've had one. I mean, that was a box. Everybody has their boxes.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I started to take a look at. Is that okay? This is what this box looks like for me. If I really want to go after something that I really want in my life. I'm gonna have to break through that box.
Absolutely. There's no way to get where you want if it's different than what your current reality is by staying the same. And so, Jay and I have discussed about there's a concept of the identifiable patient and the unidentifiable patient. But I would say that I would even be so bold to say that 90% of the entire population is an unidentifiable patient. Why? Because at some point we've fallen asleep in our lives. And so again, like you said, you're a sort of louder type of person and your contrast in color and texture is a little bit more dramatic than other people's, but it's not different. And this is a distinction that I want to make because it's really about connection and recognizing ourselves in other people and what we can learn in other people instead of creating the idea of separateness. Like, oh no, he was sick. No. If you really pay attention, we're all kind of sick. Sure. And there's nothing wrong with that if you see it for what it is, as the opportunity to connect, as the opportunity to make a difference, as the opportunity to live your life really with the pedal to the metal.
And this program that we had both done, this 3-month program, I completed the program and I was like, what's next for me?
Right.
And really, what's next, I didn't know. So I ended up spending about 50 or almost 60 days in personal development programs. And I went to very, very large ones with very famous personal development trainers, and then smaller ones around the country. Mm-hmm. And through this process, I decided that I wanted to go on a body transformation because one of my stories, one of my deepest, darkest secrets is that I was afraid to take my shirt off at the beach. Right. So I decided that I wanted to get 6-pack abs for the first time in my life ever. And I found a nutrition coach and a doctor that was going to support me with that. I went out to Tampa and I got my blood work done. And I came back from New York after New Year's Eve last year, and I get the results from this test. This is 5 o'clock on January the 2nd last year. And he says, you're good to go. We got your supplements. We're really excited for you. And I thought, this is great, because a year before that, I was the 3 to 6 months to live. And now this guy's telling me you could have the possibility of six-pack abs. You want to talk about a complete going after your dreams. An hour after this phone call, though, I'm eating some carrots and hummus. And then an hour later, I'm at Memorial Regional again.
Right.
And they're telling me that
Back in the ER.
that I have a gallstone stuck in my gallbladder. It's stuck in my bile duct, and that it's fatal, potentially fatal. I ended up spending 10 days in the hospital last January, and the options there were not easy to face either. And when I walked out of the hospital, I said to myself, I am not going to let tomorrow look like yesterday in my life.
Right.
And I battled my way back through physical therapy after that hospital experience. And on March the 11th of this year, I got another clear, good to go from this nutritionist and doctor out of Tampa to go after my six-pack abs. And I decided to go on a body transformation. And what I want to share is that I started day number 1. Today's day 301, by the way. Today's day 305, 301 today. And I'll talk a little bit more after this. We'll take a commercial break here in a minute. But we want to talk about what's happened in the last 301 days,
right,
and why we're actually here, and what we're going after and what we're looking to create this year. We're going to talk about some New Year's resolutions, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're going to talk about the gap between once you go to these seminars and have these beautiful transformational experiences, what comes after that and what's next. So we look forward to hearing from you.
On the other
Reach
side,
out to us at 888-565-1470.
Farrow Law Firm. Are you in default with your loan modification? Has your rate adjusted? We can help. Reach out to us today and we'll put our 10 years of foreclosure defense experience to work for you. Call us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
And welcome back to the Momentum Mindset Show. I'm your host, Jay Farrow.
And Janine Davis.
And we are back. We're talking about now the real deal. What are we up to, and what have I been up to for the last 301 days?
Right.
And what I call my total life transformation.
Yes.
What we're creating as far as a program.
Yes. And some real talk about what it takes to be in transformation, right? Because the last thing that we want to project is an idea that it's perfect, that we're perfect, that our lives are like rainbows and unicorns and all of that stuff. And, we're rich and, all of those things. All of those things are in our hands, absolutely. But it's work. It's commitment. Sometimes it's a lot of grit. Sometimes it's messy. It's not that fun. But there is a lot of joy in seeing what your results can yield. And actually being here with you guys today is literally a dream come true. And what you guys may not know is that in the intro, that's actually Jay's original composition on the piano. So like dreams happen and it doesn't always look like what you think it's going to look like, but it manifests right before your eyes. It's something really spectacular as well.
I have to say that just listening to myself on that music was just playing was really one of the greatest moments of my life, being here, right now.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you, Janine,
Thank you.
who supported me on this journey. And we'll talk more about this in a little bit. But
Thank you.
We're here because we are accountable to one another.
Yes, we are accountability buddies for good, bad, or indifferent. And it's really an incredible process. It's been, again, difficult. I don't want to paint, I don't want to misrepresent what this is. Within the joy, within the successes, within all of this stuff, there's some, again, some messiness, but it's part of life and it's part of living, and overcoming that is its own sense of satisfaction.
I like that. I like when you say the word messy, because it really is messy. This journey, when I started the body transformation, I didn't know what it was going to take to get six-pack abs. I didn't
either, by the way.
I didn't know what it was going to. I didn't know what it was going to do ultimately to not switch, but also evolve from body transformation to full life transformation.
Yeah.
When I started going after this dream, I got to learn about a new way to eat, a new way to sleep, a new way to work out. I've never really worked out before. Like I was working out like here. I'd get a personal trainer 5 days a week. I was getting up at 5 a.m., then 4:30, and then ultimately 3:45 in the morning.
Again, Jay's a little hardcore, people. But that's what makes sense to him.
But it's messy, and I'm glad we're talking about this, because over the last 301 days, I have evolved. I have evolved in how I'm handling my life, the conversations that are coming up, and what I talk about is that the transformation is looking where you were pretending not to see in your life.
This is a really big concept, and when Jay started talking about what are we pretending not to see, what are we pretending not to see, I was like, I'm pretending not to hear this conversation because it can get a little challenging to have a look at things that are really convenient. Our minds are spectacular feats of engineering, actually, the wiring, the everything, and it's created to keep us safe. So these conversations are extremely uncomfortable, but there is no growth without being willing to be uncomfortable. And that concept, I always liken it to when you're a little kid and you're growing, you're physically growing. It hurts. Well, guess what? When you're growing up and you're evolving as a human being at whatever age you're in, it can hurt, but it's totally worth it, because the evolution, for example, that Jay has experienced, the evolution that I've experienced, I always dreamed of like having a mic in front of me or, doing all of these things. I always thought I could do it, but I never imagined that I would do it. And so that huge leap is something that, really speaks to me about what's possible. And that's why we're here today.
And why we're here today is telling the story about where we're at, speaking exactly from where we're at. Exactly. I mean, I'm 43 years old. I'm 45. I'm an attorney by trade. I own a law practice. Before about 10 months ago, my law practice was run a certain way, where I was doing an effective job while I was in court, but the organization of my law firm and growing it and becoming it a business. See, I'm going to say it. Most lawyers are not businessmen. We're just not.
Right.
And my false impression of my business acumen was that my law firm made money. Well, just making money for me wasn't just, that was not success. And what I noticed about myself, and like I say, I share here as I do on my Facebook feed, is that I was in many ways that second grade student that was hiding report cards from my mom. I mean, I had papers stuffed in my desk about things that had happened. I had parking tickets. I had letters from my own personal mail. I had things in there from. I had some stuff in there, just like old pieces of gum. I mean, there's just stuff in these desks because
habits. You're speaking into the habits that you had for decades. You didn't know how to be any different.
I didn't have the habit of cleaning up after myself, and that wasn't just in my business.
This is a habit that you could use some work on.
But I didn't have a habit of cleaning up after myself until I read a book about 2 months into this journey, 3 months into this journey about making your bed. And how your self-worth is tied to doing little things in your life, like making your bed. Now, why are we here? We're here because we've made some major declarations about where we want our year to go, and what we're up to. We are going after goals ourselves.
Exactly.
Using the tools of transformation that we've read from everybody from
Napoleon Hill, Tony Robbins, David Nagel, Michael Hyatt. I mean, it's an endless list of incredible content out there.
And much of this content says exactly the same thing.
Yes.
Now, when I say that, why are we here? We had been I've been to maybe 60 days in 1 year, maybe now close to 100 days of personal development trainings, weekends where I just spend in personal development trainings. What I began to notice was when you walk out of these personal development trainings that there's a gap. Basically, there's like the Tuesday after you get out of one of these seminars, you're on fire because you just got all of this content, this positive momentum, this energy, but then there was no habits that I had that would support using all of those tools and all of that education in my daily life. And so by Thursday or Friday, I was not doing what was suggested of me in the seminar. And I just spent $5,000 or $10,000 on some of these.
Right.
And I walk out of there with all of the best intentions in the world, but I was not, there was something every single time. And what it was, I didn't have the habit of doing the work. I didn't have the habits of business. Didn't have the habit of, I call them making my bed habits, because they're small little things that we do on a daily basis. Sure. We found a gap between the seminar and real life.
Right.
And
we call it the hangover, the seminar hangover.
The seminar hangover. And what I thought in my own personal life, for my personal journey, is that I needed to be up to my life. I needed to be up to my goals, and to do that on a daily basis. So when I started this body transformation, I started to recognize patterns in myself, and I also started to become accountable to myself. And about, 2 months after, about 50 days after I started my body transformation, you started yours.
Yes.
And this organically grew into what it is today,
right,
where we are conscious about what we are intending on creating for our life. I'm going to say that we are conscious about what we are creating in our life.
Right.
We're intentional about it, because all of these speakers and all of this content and all of the greats that speak into this world of transformation say exactly the same thing. What do you want to create in your life? What do you want to go after? Right. The universe is going to give it to you if you just get clear on what you want. Now, for me, what I thought that I wanted was based upon stories that came down from my dad's dad, about I played music growing up.
Yes.
And the story is you can't make money as a musician. And I happen to like law as the same as my other passion. So I went into law and became a lawyer, and didn't consider music as a profession.
Right.
I didn't consider anything else but a profession. But then those of the accepted professions of when you're growing up: doctor, lawyer, accountant,
right,
veterinarian, professional.
Right.
And that's what I bought into. Now I'm 43 years old, and I bought into the stories of why I couldn't do certain things in my life. And after being with the perspective of being back in the hospital bed and knowing what it means to not have choices and having them today, I'm not going to waste them.
Exactly. And it's interesting because Jay and I met through music, in fact, and I have a very similar story. My father himself was he's a fantastic orator, super talented. He's an actor, actually, but he cast that all aside for business and to be the man of the house. So that dominated my conversation. It was never, I have been singing since I was a child, but never truly considered doing it professionally because it was too impractical. I needed to be a professional person. I needed to go to university. I needed to do all of the right things. As an adult, though, and as a grown woman, you realize that these are choices that you make, right? And this is what we're starting to speak into now, that yes, these are the stories. Yes, this is the way we were raised, but we also elect what we believe about ourselves and what we make those stories mean. And this is where agency and personal power really comes into play. And when you're asleep in your life, you're not even aware that you're making those unconscious decisions, and you're not even aware that you can make a different one.
And so you're not even aware why you're not even happy.
Exactly.
People say, I want to be happy. This is one more thing. People reach out to me on Facebook. How do you stay happy? And how do you find happiness? And I don't know. Happiness is not here or there. I don't know where to find happiness. I do know that when I got clear about the things that I want in my life, it became exciting.
Yes.
I do know that when I wake up in the morning at 3:45 in the morning, I feel great because I know what I'm going after and the reason why I'm up at 3:45 in the morning.
Right. Right.
These are these points of clarity will change your life.
Absolutely. And also realizing that a lot of the things that you're generating or seeking, for example, happiness is a great one. So thank you for mentioning that. We're all expecting it to show up outside of us, but we're responsible for our own happiness only all the time. And when we're always so committed to looking at it externally, even going after six-pack abs, the joy is, yes, seeing the result, but the joy is also in, oh my God, I did that.
My world changed. Yeah. And here's the other part about when you decide that you want to go after something like that in your life, where you're no longer going to restaurants and you're not eating sugar anymore. You're cut out all of these things that people that do socially. You basically are committed to one thing. People start asking questions. My friends, what are you up to? What you want to go hang out? Do you want to have dinner? Do you want? And for me, I knew I was up to other things, and it became where some people weren't talking to me. Some people, as I was going through this process, about 3 months into this, I decided, well, if I've come this far going after six-pack abs, let me see. I like to go after buying a different car. I want to go after transforming my law practice.
Yes.
And as you're doing these things, you're saying to the world and to yourself, my box is no longer acceptable to me because I want a bigger box, or I want to break through and not even have a box potentially.
Right.
The people around you are going to start, giving you feedback, and that's not always easy to hear. I heard people tell me that I'm out of control, that my life is, they didn't understand what I was doing. You're doing too many things that are outside the box.
Yeah. Well, and of course, people around us can love us, and they love us in their way, but they love us in a way that is what is comfortable and accustomed to them. Now, sometimes their feedback is valuable anyway, because you get to connect with people and you get to also realize, okay, they don't agree, but I'm on the right track, and I get to love them anyway, and they get to love me anyway, and we don't always have to agree, because that's not what love is about all the time either. Just agreeing, or like a BS party with your friends. That's not what it is. You can disagree and be on different tracks and still have connection and still have life, or not. And all of it's okay. It's part of living. In transformation or not, you're not always going to get people to agree with what you're up to, and that's okay.
And this is the important conversation as we're about to discuss some New Year's resolutions, and I invite everybody to think about their New Year's resolutions as we're talking here. Yeah. Because if you're really going to have that stuff come true for you, your New Year's resolutions are going to create some uncomfortability in your life, not only with your internal mindset, but also with those people around you. And it's something to prepare yourself for. And the one way that I've found that's supportive is to be around people that are like-minded, that are also going after their goals. So this organic process of what we were doing about becoming accountability buddies. Mm-hmm. We know what it's like to have the conversation with the loved one about not showing up to a dinner because they're going to have like sugar or birthday cake, or these little things. But it speaks to a bigger conversation. People who I work with now, who are committed to their intentions, their dreams, they get how important it is for you to have your own.
Absolutely. And that's where the support comes in, right? That's where the days where you fall down a little bit or you get off course. We're talking about diet right now, but there have been many times, Jay and I work together, so there are many times where both of us will look at each other and be like, chocolate. But then we'll tell each other, yes, and we've had plenty of chocolate in our lives, and we can, forgo it because we're going after something bigger. So this is a small example, right? And some of you at home might be going, chocolate, what the hell? Just have the chocolate. Yeah, but it's the small decisions that you make every day that reap the biggest results in your life.
Okay, and what I want to talk about is the actual program that we've created. When we come back from a break. We can talk about that, and when it starts, it's coming up on January the 16th. We're going to have our first pilot program meeting, and we're going to talk about what it's talk about some resolutions, talk about some accountability when we come back.
Exactly. Yay.
Farrow Law Firm. Are you in default with your loan modification? Has your rate adjusted? We can help. Reach out to us today and we'll put our 10 years of foreclosure defense experience to work for you. Call us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
And we're back with the Momentum Mindset Show. Once again, I'm your host, Jay Farrow, here with co-host
Janine Davis.
And if you want to call in, I would repeat the number here. It's 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. Would love to hear from you.
We'd love to share anything that you'd, or speak into anything that you want to share with us. We are here for you all.
And I want to say hello to my Facebook community, who I see is supporting me right now, watching live, and want to thank you. And we've heard from so many of you over the course of the last 301 days, but certainly recently, because we have been talking about New Year's resolutions. We've been talking about making commitments to yourself, and we've been talking about this in the context of where we come from in the beginning of our respective journeys of transformation. And now, what have we found? Well, we started to conceptualize a program that would really give you the creative space. I call it a playground for adults, but it's a space to design the life that you want, starting with the life that you have.
Exactly.
And we called it the Momentum Mindset Trainings.
Yes.
And in December, we had our first meet and greet for the Momentum Mindset Trainings. And the program is all about getting clear with what you want. Imagine that it's Christmas, your birthday, and the greatest holiday ever, where you can actually write down whatever you want to create in your business, in your finance, your hobbies.
Your personal life.
Your personal life.
Connections.
Your 10 relationship, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And write that down and get clear about it. Because without the stories, without the fear of, oh no, that's not going to be me, or I don't think that I could ever do that.
That's for other people. That was a big one for me, by the way.
Or how about this one? I don't deserve it.
Yes, that's also, I can say, I may have experienced that a time or two. And most people do. Because
what we're talking about is we all have this case of untreated unworthiness.
Absolutely.
Untreated not enoughness. And what happens is that those real good juicy dreams get lost.
Yes.
They get lost and they get lost in those conversations.
Right. So in speaking into that too, that has a lot to do with what our identity, right? So we take on the identity of someone who is unworthy or someone who can't do it. Those dreams are for other people. Those goals are for other people. Yes, I'm talented, but that's for someone else.
I can only sing in the shower.
Exactly. That was a really, really big one for me in particular, and I share that often. So what it's interesting is that when you start you created that identity, though. You are not aware that you created it, but you did, because you bought into whatever stories that were feeding that agenda. So this opposite is true as well. So if you want to be an unbelievable businesswoman or whatever, well, you can start identifying yourself with the possibility that you can be that person. But it starts with what you are identifying within yourself, creating that vision inside of your mind and really taking off with it. Because it all starts with the vision, and it all starts with what you believe about yourself.
It also starts with the space to do it.
Yes.
And I call it a playground because I like the concept of having imagination. I like the concept of thinking of a space where you're in a training room with other like-minded people, and there's no conversations. Your parents aren't there. Your kids aren't there. Your second grade teacher
You can't blame
isn't there.
anybody.
There's nothing. There's nothing.
You're
to
responsible.
You actually have to call yourself out for what you really want in life, and get clear and become okay with it.
Yes.
And then from that space, become part of a mastermind to share with others what you want. And I say this is a few-part process. Number one, write it down by yourself. Be private about it. Tell the universe what you want. Number two, then you got to tell somebody else.
Exactly. Accountability is huge.
And then you got to ask them and tell them, what are you going to do by next Tuesday at 5 p.m. to have one of your dreams come true?
Yeah.
Because that's how momentum is created. And that's what we're all about. My passion, my life, my world is all about momentum. Going forward, taking that one step at a time towards the life that you want to create. And this part, it's just not easy, because all of the conversations, your ego, my ego, will come up only all the time to say, no, stop, don't, you can't afford it, too expensive. Don't you know you're not tall enough, you're not short enough, you're not loud enough, you can't sing.
Yeah. And
all of these things that come up about, I imagine a space where someone would tell you, you know what, that's BS. I think that what you're really saying is you're afraid.
Exactly. I told Jay before we started, the show, the next time you see me walk out of the house with a sleeveless shirt, stop me. Don't let me do it. And then I thought, well, this is all of the stuff that has always kept me small. Like all of my internal conversations about how I'm not thin enough, or I was too thin, and this and that. And, it's never enoughness, right? But then you start calling yourself out on those internal conversations, and you start saying, you know what? This is a bunch of bull, and you're using them as excuses to stay the same, to stay small, and to not go after your dreams. So it is uncomfortable, and you show up here live on the radio and on Facebook, and you do it anyway, because that's the commitment ultimately. Consistency.
And momentum and consistency go hand in hand. Calling out what you want for your dreams, and then having someone that you possibly don't know, it's not your friend, right. It's not a family member, it's not someone who's going to coddle you, it's someone who's going to care about you and love you enough to call you out and say, hey, you're full of BS, or what's coming up for you that you didn't have this happen by Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
Because
where did you stop?
Right, where did you stop? Because I call these life and death conversations, and I want everybody to hear me on this, and I'm not talking about me being in the hospital kind of life and death. I'm talking about real life and death. If you want to create a life for yourself, and you want to say, this is my 10 life, this is what it looks like, this is what I do, I'm president of the United States, I sing on stage, this is the things that I have in my life, this is the life that I want to create, this is the Jay Farrow that I want to be, and I'm going to declare it. If you are not taking steps to get to that place, if I'm not walking towards becoming that, that life dies. And that's not something that I'm willing to let happen for me. And that's not something that I'm willing to happen for one of the participants in our program.
Absolutely.
But how this works is because you also care about somebody else's life, 10 life.
Yes, you're just as invested in them. You're being a stand for them as much as you're being a stand for yourself. Because on any given day, some of us are stronger, some of us are weaker, and you never know that once you've been a stand for somebody else, they will inevitably be a stand for you. Human beings are incredibly, naturally generous and will show up for you if you allow them to. And so part of creating this momentum is having the masterminds, having the accountability groups, having the space creatively and emotionally to be who you really are, to speak into your dreams, and to have the space to allow yourself to fly and allow yourself to express your heart's desire and go after the things you say you want, and to have people who will question why you may have stopped or something like that. So we speak about that a lot because it is part of the journey. It is part of, again, we spoke at the top of the hour how messy transformation can be. There are a lot of fears and people who are starting out, again, at any age, but Jay and I are in our early to mid 40s. And so you've got decades of conversations that run you. And the awareness of that can be sometimes very crushing. And
playing safe, we find playing safe is comfortable. Anybody can play life safely. Everybody, though, who plays life safely goes to bed with that same gnawing conversation and that knowing in their heart of hearts that this is not the life that they want to live. Now, we've imagined a space and we've created a space to take that step by step. And how do we do this? So we have a monthly meeting.
Yes, we have a monthly meeting. We have a private face group page,
and we have an accountability buddy system that is designed to create results in your life.
We have masterminds and brain dumps where we can help people within the pilot program or the program itself to, create synergies or have ideas to help launch someone in business. Or, Jay always likes to say that, if someone wants to buy, build a school, there may be my cousin Vinny who knows how to do that, or, it's kind of, so creating that community and that synergy and that support on a consistent basis so that you don't feel alone. Because as we spoken to earlier, when you go to a lot of these personal development seminars, they are fantastic. We cannot recommend them enough to people because it's the seed that creates the mind blowing, like the
awakening.
Right. But there's something that, again, we've identified the gap, that hangover that happens sort of. And the momentum mindset trainings are there to fill in the gap. They are your consistent, like, okay, you got this beautiful information, so now what are you going to do with it?
It's where the rubber meets the road.
Yes. It's the implementation.
It is really. This is where it becomes the no nonsense. This is where my passion will come out. So because it's great to have the declarations. It's great to have dreams. It's even better for them to come true. And the way that I have found is to rigorously go through a life where I'm willing to leave the life behind that I had to have the life that I want to create. Right. And when I say that, you'll never have a better friend or someone that also you might not consider to be a friend. But I say to people, I'm not necessarily here to be your friend, and right. I'm okay with that. I want you to have the life that you want. Right. Because I know what it's like to lay in that hospital bed with no options. I know what it's like to not have a life or possibilities. Right. I know what it's like to be looked in the eye and say you don't have 3 months to live as a 41-year-old man. And that feeling of knowing that I have a possibility, though, and what transformation has done for me, and to know that it's possible, but I'll tell you, it takes work. It takes that daily practice of the habits that you get to develop. Once you learn the tools, we can support you to get you where you want to go. But
Absolutely.
The work, it's worth it. It's so worth it.
So a little bit about me. So Jay is an attorney, and we run the law firm together as well. But I'm also a life coach, and part of coaching is, when you start to get into really going deep and getting into the yummy juiciness with your coachee. It is the experience sometimes where they will push back against you, because as the coach, it's your job to really challenge the self-limiting beliefs, the stories that keep them safe. And there's a tendency to have a resistance. And, it's on the coach to say, look, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to champion you to get to the next phase of where you want to go. So we're not going to be here all young,
Call it Anastasia.
We're going... Oh! We have a caller? Wait, okay. This is unbelievable. We have a caller. Okay, so exciting.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Anastasia.
Hi, Anastasia.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm watching our broadcast right now.
Okay.
And it's very interesting what y'all are talking about.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
Where are you from?
Oh, where am I from? I am from Puerto Rico.
Awesome. Okay,
welcome.
shout out to Puerto Rico. Well, thank you so much for calling in. What do you have on your mind?
What I have on my mind?
Yeah, what would you like to share with
Basically
us?
a lot of stuff.
What about, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Yes, I do.
All right, what's your number one New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution is basically to help, homeless society get off the street.
Oh, wow.
And help people in many ways.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
That's a beautiful
Thank
service
you.
goal. Wow, fantastic. And how can we support you in achieving that for yourself?
If you can put the word out to people, and when you broadcast, if they could basically support and help fund the homeless and get them housed and clothes, and for women too with children. They need to get off the streets too.
Absolutely. Are you with a particular organization?
Yes, I am.
So go ahead. What's your organization?
My organization is Set Your Wings to Go Home and Set 'em Free.
Okay.
I'm sorry, dearest. Say that again, please. I would, for our listeners and for us to be able to call that out again.
Set your wings to go home and set 'em free.
Beautiful. Spread your wings to go home and set them free.
That is beautiful.
And what I love, Anastasia, what I love about what you've done is you made a declaration and you called into a station, and now the whole planet has now heard what you're up to, and we have now broadcast or rebroadcast your organization, and it's you know what? Congratulations, because I think that you just supported your New Year's resolution. Absolutely awesome.
Yes, I did.
Congratulations,
Thanks to me and
Anastasia.
you guys.
And it's very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you for calling in.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay,
we're gonna take a quick commercial break. Thank you so much for being with us till now, and we've got a little treat when we get back.
A vulnerable treat.
A very vulnerable treat. You want to talk about two people really going for it? Okay, stay tuned and come back with us.
Farrow Law Firm. Are you in default with your loan modification? Has your rate adjusted? We can help. Reach out to us today and we'll put our 10 years of foreclosure defense experience to work for you. Call us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
And we're back?
Welcome back
to the Momentum Mindset Show. And just a little context. We are now, we're about to perform a song. It's actually one of my favorites, I know one of yours, from Elton John, your song. And when we were on the show last week, or earlier this week, we had said that the question was asked, do we have a piano we could bring in and would we okay and sing? Truth is, we didn't have a piano.
But we got one.
But we found one within 24 hours because we made a commitment.
Yes.
Because one of my dreams as growing up as a kid is to play on the radio and to actually sing, and to sing. And I know. And
Also a lifelong dream. So birds of a feather stick together. And this is certainly one of the things that we had in common. And it's sort of coming full circle because we actually became friends because of music. So this is very sort of fitting. And now we are partners in business. So it's fantastic.
And this is the power of intention, really. Because we could have slept in, we could have not gone to the music store last night. We could have not figured out a way to come up with the way to buy the musical equipment, the speaker, and to practice. We could have done all that, but we made a commitment because it means everything to me to be here with you right now, to be doing this. And this is
Likewise.
I have butterflies on my stomach. I had all the conversation in the world to not to do this, but here we are.
We supported each other in doing it. So thank you guys. Thank you, Freddie and Don, for making this possible for us as well.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside.
I'm not one of those who can
easily hide. Don't have much money,
but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live.
Licensed song, gotta cut it now.
If I was a sculptor,
But then again,
no.
you're a man who
Right
makes
now, I gotta throw it to break.
In a traveling show.
I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do.
My gift is my song, and this one's for you.
And you can tell
Patty, gotta cut this.
This is your song.
it may be quite
Simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind.
Last chance, gotta cut it or I gotta go to break now.
We are going to break. Thank you so much for everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Momentum Mindset Show. For your hosts, Jay and Janine, we'll see you here next week. Thank you for being real, authentic, and honest.
If you'd like to reach us, please